Hello YouTube! We're on the Real Programming channel. I'm its host. My name is Andrei. Welcome you, greet you. This is our 18th lesson. We are talking about HTML, PHP and MySqL. We will talk about create a table inside the database. And watch it! SQL statements only end with semicolons when you use the terminal. In your PHP code, your SQL statements don't need to end with a semicolon. The MySqL terminal is different, however, the end requires a semicolon at the end of every SQL statement. This is because the terminal is capable of running multiple SQL statements, whereas in a PHP you only submit one statement at a time. Create a table inside the database. You have to know what kind of data you want to store in a table before you can create the table. Elmer wants to use the first and last names of people on his email list to make the mail messages. He sends out a bit more personal, add the information to the mail address, and Elmer's email underscore list table needs to store 3 pieces of data for each entry. Each pieces of data in a table goes in a column, which needs a name that describes the data. Let's use first underscore name, last underscore name, and mail is our column names. Each row in the table consists of a single piece of data for each of these columns and constitutes a single entry in Elmer's email list. The email list table is one of many tables that could be stored in the Elvis underscore store database. Okay. Elmer old text file of mail address and can't compare it to the structure and the security of the database table. And there are columns. Our table has 3. There's rows. Each one contains a first name, a last name, and mail addresses for one person. So, table rows are horizontal and table columns are vertical. So now we know that the first name, last name, and the mail addresses for a customer must be created because columns and the mail list table problems is MySQL tables are highly structured and expect you to provide more than just the name of a column data. You have to tell the database a bit more about what kind of data you intend to store in the column. Data columns in Elmer's new email underscore list table. We need to define our data. When you create a table, you have to tell the MySQL server what type of data each column will hold. Data types are required for all MySQL columns, and each column in a table holds a particular type of data. This means some columns may hold text, some may hold numeric values, some may hold time or dates, and so on. MySQL has a variety of data types, and you need to know which one suits your particular data. Let's suppose Elmer has a table named Products that keeps track of the items for sale at his store. This column contains text description of each product. In Elmer's store, the inventory column contains an integer value of how many of each item are in stock. The ID column contains unique ID values for each product in Elmer's store. The price column contains decimal values. Notice that products is only text column in the products table. There are also decimal numbers for price and integer numbers for inventory and ID. MySQL has its own names for each one of these types of data, as well as a few more such as types for dates and times. It's important to use the appropriate data types when you create a table column so that your tables are accurate and efficient. For example, text data takes more room to store than integer data. So if a column only needs to hold integers, it's a smart practice to use an integer data type for it. Also, if it knows what kind of data a column holds, the web server won't allow you to accidentally insert the wrong type of data. So if you have a column that holds a date, you will receive an error if you try to insert anything except a date in that column. To create a table, you need to know what type of data is stored in each table column. Brain power. Why do you think using different data types is better than using just text to store everything? Answer you may write in a comment, for example. And don't forget, you will find all the code and materials of this lesson under this video in the description link to Google Drive. Take a meeting with some MySQL data types. There are few of the most useful MySQL data types. Remember, you can use any of them to describe the data stored within a particular column of table data. It's their job to store your data for you without making it up. Char or character, she's rigid and prefers her data to be a set length. She can be highly efficient if you have text that always the same length. Int or integer, thinks numbers should be whole, but he is not afraid of negative numbers. He can also store short integers, in which case he is called a tiny int. Dec short for a decimal. He'll give you all the decimal places you ask for, at least until he is full. She goes by either that timestamp. She keeps track of the date and time. This is varchar, short for variable character. He holds text data. He is flexible and can adapt to the length of your data, storing only what you need and not padding with extra spaces. Depending on your version of MySQL, the length can be 255 characters before MySQL 5.0.3 and up to 65,445 characters in the 5.0.3 and later version. Date keeps track of your data's dates. She doesn't care about the time toad. She also got a fractional twin, time, who doesn't care what the date is. Good friends with blob, her name is text. And she is great at storing huge amounts of text, much more than char or varchar. Call him blob. He likes large gobs of binary data, and there are no dumb questions. Why would I ever use a char when a varchar does the same thing with more flexibility? The answer is accuracy and efficiency. From a designer perspective, you should always design your tables to model your data as rigidly as possible. If you know without a shadow of a doubt that state columns will always hold exactly 2 character abbreviation, then it makes sense to only allot 2 characters of storage for it with char 2. However, if a password column can contain up to 10 characters, then varchar 10 makes more sense. That's the design side of things. So char is a little more efficient than varchar because it doesn't have to keep track of a variable length. Therefore, is more desirable when you know your certain text columns has an exact length. Why do I need these numeric types like int and dec? It all comes down to database storage and efficiency. Choosing the best matching data type for each column in your table will reduce the size of the table and make operations on your data faster. Storing a number as an actual number, int, dex, etc. instead of text characters is usually more efficient. Is this it? Are these all the types? No, but these are the most commonly used ones. We'll get up and running with this for now, rather than bogging things down by looking at data types you may never need. What's my purpose? Match each MySQL data type to each description of some data you might store in a table. Okay, and answer will be in the next lesson. And for this, here is our 18th lesson about HTML. PHP MySQL is over. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to my channel, please. Don't forget to put likes, share with friends, comment. Remember, meditate, do exercise every evening, read more books, and drink more water, and eat bananas, chocolate, and nuts. That's all. Thank you. Bye.